Hello everyone, what's up? Prentice1215 here with my annual YouTube wrap-up kind of look back YouTube rewind thing that I do at this point of the year, every year, looking back on my channel in the previous year and having a slight look forward at the year going ahead. So we're just going to take a look kind of like starting back at the beginning of the year and going all the way through it. So yeah, 2024 was interesting. It was just overall, it was a really interesting year, both in a good sense and a bad sense, and personally and stuff like that. But in terms of my channel, I think it was a good year for my channel in terms of like the content I put out. Because I can remember thinking at the beginning of the year that it was going to be kind of slower, at least to start off with. But despite me thinking that, I ended up putting out a video, or excuse me, like 2 videos a week for several months, like all the way through May almost, I think. And so I was actually quite pleased with that. So I started off with a lot of Transformers reviews, a lot of Lego reviews. So it was a lot of Christmas stuff that I had, a lot of stuff that had piled up near the end of 2023. So there's a lot of Transformers to be reviewed, several Lego sets. So that helped get, really push me forward in the year with a lot of content just on a, consistent base. There was also the continuing Spider-Man 2 Let's Play from earlier in 2023 that I started in like September, and it was just such a long game that it just continued and continued into 2024. Because yeah, that was like a 20-part series or something like that. So yeah, that lasted a long time. And then by the time like I was starting to slow up on the toy reviews, then Bad Batch Season 3 started. So there was a lot of Bad Batch Season 3 stuff that was going. I was reviewing that every week, which was a lot of fun. I really loved that season, that final season of Bad Batch. It was really great, so you can go back and watch all my thoughts on that, and all the way to the beginning of the start of the series if you're going through it for the first time and you're curious. So then I also did some funny Modern Warfare 3 videos, which actually did I think I uploaded 4 or so throughout the entire year, and they did pretty well. I was kind of surprised by how well they did. Like a couple of them got a couple hundred views, and it's like, in terms of my funny moments video game stuff, that's really, really great for me. So I was really pleased with that. In March, I uploaded another Battlefront 2 funny moments video for the first time in a long, like a year more. Because that's just a game that me and my friends that we just go back to every now and then. Not the original Battlefront 2, but I will be talking about that later. But the 2017 one from DICE, that's just a game we go back and play every now and then because it's just a really great, awesome, fun game that unfortunately had its support pulled too early, even though it had been going on a couple years. But so yeah, we always go back to that every now and then. So there's always like the time between videos may take a while, but there's probably always going to be more of those. Then speaking of the original Battlefront 2, then it wasn't a shadow drop because there was like a month between the announcement and when it actually came out. But the Battlefront Classic Collection came out to commemorate 20 years of Star Wars Battlefront, and they put the original Pandemic PS2 original Xbox Star Wars Battlefront games on modern machines, and was a little divisive at first. I actually had plans to do like a best deal full video review of the Classic Collection, but then by the time I was actually kind of like ready to start, like all of the complaints had kind of tampered down because the game had been patched, and so I just didn't, at that point I didn't really see a need to do it. I was just like, you know what, I've been enjoying this, I'm just going to keep enjoying it. And really the complaints weren't even, it's like, because my complaint about the complaints is that there are the typical people overreacting about it. They ruined Star Wars Battlefront. This is the worst launch in the history of ever. It's like, there were a couple sound bugs. That was really the extent. There were some sound bugs, and the online servers didn't really work, which, given Aspire, I'm pretty sure had never done multiplayer before. It was not surprising that the multiplayer servers didn't really work at first. So that didn't, so aside from that and a couple sound issues, there really wasn't a whole lot wrong with the game. Like a couple weird visual things here and there, but within like 2 weeks of the game coming out, it was all fixed, it was all patched, and it was rare and ready to go. So, but a lot of people had already decided to like give up on it or something like that. So that was basically going to be the crux of why the video I was going to make. It's like, no, this is better than you think it is. It's really awesome to have these games back on modern machines, specifically for PlayStation, and also then putting it on Switch, because I know it came to Switch. Now for PC and Xbox, it was a little, why would you bother doing this? Because the PC version has been available forever on Steam. And then you could play the original, like the actual original versions via backwards compatibility on Xbox. So so on those systems, there wasn't really a need for that bundle to exist. But on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, the Switch, it was really awesome to be able to access those games again like that. And so I was very, very pleased with how it turned out overall. Again, little bit of a rocky start, but it's like in terms of some of the rocky starts I've seen like modern AAA video games have, the Battlefront Classic Collection launched in a pretty okay place. It was not a disaster by any means. Like, were there wrinkles to iron out? Sure, yeah, but they got them ironed out, and it's like that's probably a game I'm just never going to delete off my console now. I'm probably just always going to have it on there. So so yeah, so because of that game, that collection coming out, I then did a very quick let's play of the original Battlefront 2 campaign from 2005, and that was a whole lot of fun going back and experiencing that again. And so I put that up. So that was another series of videos that I had. So I mean, sometimes Star Wars is like my favorite thing ever. And so I do a lot of Star Wars content on this channel, but in 2023, I feel like I didn't do a lot of Star Wars content. Like, I basically just did reviews of like Bad Batch season 2, and I think it was Andor, or was Andor 2022? It's like whatever. Or no, it was Ahsoka. It was Ahsoka. That's what it was. It was a show that started with an A. So I feel like in 2023, I really just did the reviews of that stuff, and then there wasn't a whole lot else Star Warsy really on my channel. But 2024, I really ended up kind of inadvertently rectifying that, because I did the Let's Play of Battlefront 2. I was reviewing Bad Batch. I was reviewing The Acolyte when that came out. I'm in the middle of reviewing Skeleton Crew right now, because that's airing right now. That'll continue into next year, of course. All these different. So yeah, a lot of different Lego sets that were Star Wars related. So yeah, there was a lot of Star Wars on my channel, so I was very happy about that, getting back to doing a lot of Star Wars content, because I just love Star Wars so much, even when it's not the greatest. And the Tales of the Empire. So I'm going through my videos. Like, I did the Tales of the Empire review, which was like, yeah, that was good. It's like it probably wasn't as good as Tales of the Jedi, but it's still a really solid miniseries. So yeah, really enjoyed that. There was a lot of good stuff there. And I even did a Star Wars stop motion for the first time in a while. And it was the Bad Batch after season 3 wrapped. I was working on improving my stop motion setup, and I needed to really run a thorough test of how everything was going to work. So I made a Bad Batch stop motion that was about 6.5 minutes long. And I'm really pleased with how that turned out. It's probably one of my favorite videos that I've put out throughout the entire year. So go ahead and go watch that. I think it's really great. It really captures the vibe of Bad Batch, I think. So if you're a fan of the Bad Batch, go watch that short. I really like that. So let's see here. Another thing that started coming out this year that was new was more video game funny moments, but was video game funny moments for Helldivers 2, which really kind of took the world by storm this year. Was a little bit of a surprise hit, because I can remember, because I was aware of what Helldivers 1 was. It was a PS4 Vita game. I think it even was on PS3. It came out so long ago now. It was like a PS4, PS3 Vita game. It was a top-down thing. So I remember knowing what it was, because I was entrenched in at least maybe not playing everything, but really knowing a lot of my Vita stuff, because I have a PlayStation Vita, one of the very few. So I knew a lot of those games that were coming out. Even if I didn't play them, I knew of them. So Helldivers 1 was one of those. And so Helldivers 2 had been in production forever, and I was kind of doubtful if the game was ever going to come out. And then they said that they were switching it to third person from top down. I'm like, oh, that's kind of strange. And then it just didn't really preview that well, I don't think. So when it was about to launch, it was kind of like, yeah, this is probably going to be a dud. But then it came out and it kind of took the world by storm, and it was really cheap. It's a $40 entry fee. And it's like, okay, I'll check this out. And me and my friends all just fell in love with it. It's a really great game. We're continuing to play it. We actually just, as I'm recording this, we actually just played a bunch yesterday. So there's going to be more of that going into the year. It's just a really fun game to play and laugh at and have fun with friends. And then it makes for really easy content, because it's like these clips just go together so well, and just all the shenanigans that you get up to and everything. So yeah, really, really excited for more Helldivers stuff. Expect more of those videos. Some of them did pretty well this year on my channel, which I'm happy about. So yeah, if you like the Helldivers 2 stuff, you can look forward to more crazy shenanigans while we're trying to save democracy. So now I'm getting to about the midpoint of the year here, looking through my stuff, and we get to the big one, the Acolyte. My reviews of the Acolyte. I'm not going to wax poetic or anything about it here. It's like that's what those videos are for. But yeah, that was really kind of a big misstep for Star Wars, which is unfortunate because you can hear it in my reviews. I wanted to like this show a lot, and it's just the way the story was presented just really let itself down, unfortunately. Um, so yeah, that was unfortunate, but it is what it is. You just kind of have to chin up and move on. And Skeleton Crew's out right now, which is really great. So it's not like all hope was lost for Star Wars. I know some people like to act that way, but I'm still enjoying the stuff that came out. So let's see here. I've more and more Transformers reviews. I did a lot of Transformers reviews this year. I reviewed a couple of movies this year: Deadpool and Wolverine, Transformers 1. I think that may have been it. There may have been one more, but the looking back at the original Lego movie. That's, I guess, that was the other thing that technically was a movie. Maybe it wasn't really a movie review. It was a look back because of the 10-year anniversary. So that's what I'm thinking of why I think I reviewed 3 movies this year. But so that was fun. It just talked about Deadpool and Wolverine for 45 minutes. I really liked that movie. That was really good. Battlefront Classic Collection, funny moments. Again, more Star Wars stuff. Was really happy to put that out there. That was really fun editing that video. And then now we're getting to like the last quarter of the year, and this is where a lot of the Transformers stop motion stuff starts finally reappearing. And I'm going to talk about that in a bit when it comes to future 2025 stuff. So, of course, September marked the 40th anniversary of Transformers, so I went all out for that month. There were more reviews that were out. I did a complete supercut of my War for Cybertron miniseries that came out back in 2022. So you can watch all 3 of those parts in one go, as was originally scripted, because I did write the one big script and then I chopped it up into bits when I originally released it back in 2022. But it was originally just one big script. So then I gave it a slight re-edit to fit the original script and release that all in one go. And it's done pretty well. So you can go and watch that right now if you want to. So yeah, more reviews. There's my Transformers 1 review. And then we get into the later part of the year where it's fall. It's, you're starting to get into the fall season. The leaves are changing colors. Halloween's about to roll around. Thanksgiving's around the corner. And you know what that means? It's time for another Call of Duty game. So this year, Treyarch was up to bat. So since in 2023, I looked at all the Sledgehammer games, or at least the campaigns. And in 2022, I looked at all the Infinity Ward campaigns. Well, it was time to do Treyarch and do all the Black Ops games. So I did all the Black Ops games up to Cold War. And yeah, those videos, I actually worked on those videos a lot over the summer. And so they were done by like June, I want to say. And then they were just in the can, ready to go. And I'm really pleased with how those videos turned out and also were received, because some of the Infinity Ward videos only had 50 views or something like that. The Sledgehammer ones did a little better, but the Treyarch videos did really well. I'm really happy with how the Treyarch videos did. Black Ops 4 especially, because that one was a little different because there wasn't really a campaign to look at with that one. So I just kind of really talked about the game as a whole. And that's actually the most viewed Call of Duty, quote unquote campaign retrospective video. But I mean, it's like, so yeah, it's like, oh, that's weird. You did a campaign retrospective over the one game that doesn't have a campaign. It's like, well, that's what made it notable to cover it in the same series, because of why didn't this have a campaign? What was it going to be? Why didn't it happen? It's like, what replaced it? And so it's important for the context of all the other games moving forward. So I was really pleased by how that video turned out and how it was received. But the one that I'm really, really proud of is the Black Ops 3 video, because that campaign is co-op. So I did get all of my friends together, and the 4 of us did play that campaign as much as there was the wailing and gnashing of teeth while doing it, because 3 of us knew that it was bad and we weren't going to enjoy playing the campaign. And then we dragged poor Lewis along with us, who had never played it, and he picked it up for like $10 at a GameStop or something just to play it. Probably a waste of $10, but oh well. Sorry, Lewis. Thank you for playing that with us, if you're listening to this. But yeah, no, the video turned out really well. I don't necessarily say I enjoy ripping things to shreds, but let me say I was satisfied with how the video turned out, and I think I made my points quite eloquently. And the fact that you can hear us like riffing on the game and it's the all of the our reactions to certain things, like the ending that is just incomprehensible if you don't if you didn't like read the wiki or whatever, and it's like Lewis's reaction. It's like, wait, what? That's just it? It just ends. It's like that was really good. And then of course probably my favorite part was the at the end was the just us riffing and saying it's like, oh, this is like this is like a dance party or something. It's or it looks like this character looks like he's throwing his head back like the He-Man meme from back in the day. And so then I used that audio to just string together some of the most chaotic moments from the campaign. It's like I really like the way that montage turned out. So yeah, that was a really fun video. It was really fun going over those campaigns. Earlier in the year in February, I did also go over the Modern Warfare 3 quote unquote campaign that was not that well received. I liked it way more than most, but I have to admit there's a lot of problems with it. So that's why I called the video Managing Expectations. It's like, yeah, no, it's not great, but also they had like a little over a year to make this. So for the time they had, it's actually not that bad, but it's still not great. So so that's the complicated thing with that one. I will say that video only has like 35 views or something like that. I am disappointed with the way that one turned out. I really thought that one would do better. Oh well. I guess a lot of people by the time that video came out just like didn't care anymore. Like the collective outrage over the fact that campaign wasn't very good, it kind of died down and everyone was done talking about it. So that's why the video didn't do well, but I just don't have that great a reach anyway, unfortunately. So, but at the same time that those Call of Duty videos are also coming out, I also did finally watch part 1 of season 2 of Ninjago Dragons Rising, did a video on that. So for you Ninjago fans out there that are still on my channel, thank you for sticking around, because I know I don't really talk about it that much anymore when it was a big focus on my channel there for a hot minute, like a good 2.5, 3 years. I want to do more Ninjago stuff all the time. It's like it's something I think about a lot. It's just one of those things of I'm so busy, I've got to prioritize other projects and other things that catch my attention that are kind of like, ooh, new, shiny, interesting idea. And then and then other things that have been on the back burner. And so doing a lot of these Ninjago videos, like it's just kind of not a high priority right now, which I'm sorry about, because I still have thoughts about Ninjago. I still like Ninjago. I was pretty positive on that first half of the season. I still need to watch part 2 of season 2. I'm probably going to do that a little bit after the new year, get that done and have a video out hopefully in January, late January, on the second part of season 2. Because it's probably not going to be that much longer until then season 3 of Dragons Rising comes out, probably. So I'm a little behind the curve on a lot of this Ninjago stuff. But I mean, it's like the videos will those review videos will come out, and then like when something like when I have like a really solid good idea for another Ninjago video, like the ones of old that I used to do, like when one of those like really catches me, it's like then I'll definitely make one. Right now I just don't really have. I don't know, maybe I'm just getting older, so I'm phasing out of it. It's like, which is always a possibility, because I mean this is a thing that's been around for 15 years almost now, and I can remember I was in middle school when it came out. I remember it coming out. I've liked it since the beginning, but I just don't think it Crystallized just really, really, really did a number on me in terms of my enjoyment for the frame. It's like it's like there's always peaks and valleys of Ninjago. I get it, and I like Dragons Rising a lot. It is like leagues better than what we had in Crystallized, but that season just like cut me to my core. It's like this is just abysmal that it really did. That Crystallized, it's funny that they wanted to treat Crystallized like Avengers Infinity War and Endgame so much that they even made the poster mirror the Avengers Endgame poster. But I'm kind of like, with Ninjago right now, I'm unfortunately, even though I'm still kind of keeping maybe I'm a little later to the party, but I'm still keeping up with it. I am kind of like a lot of people with Marvel right now, where it's like, yeah, Endgame was kind of it for a lot of people when it came to Marvel. Like they checked out. They're like, okay, that's the big grand conclusion. The story's over. Yeah, there's some stuff I could maybe follow if I want to poke my head back in, but I'm kind of done for now. And a lot of people are that way with Marvel. I'm sort of kind of that way with Ninjago. Not, but I mean, like I said, sort of, kind of, like I said, I still keep up with it. I'm still paying attention. It's like the sets have never been my big point of interest with the series. It's always been the story and the characters. So of course I keep up with that, but that's something that's like, well, that's there. I know it's there. I know it's not going anywhere. So it's always this kind of nice comfort blanket floating above me in this nebulous space where it's like, yeah, well, when I have the time, I'll get to that. And eventually I do find the time and I do get to it, but it's just not high on my priority list. So for those of you that do enjoy my Ninjago content, and you probably found me for the Ninjago content and you want more of that, again, I'm sorry. It kind of is what it is, but I've got other interests and other things. I probably am interested in too many things. Like, I'm always trying to find new things to be interested in while also juggling all these other things. So it's like, but so you can always count on the season reviews at the very least for Ninjago. And if I come up with other ideas, then I'll make videos on that. Because like when we kind of get past some of like the main story arc stuff, because like we're definitely with Dragons Rising, we're definitely like in the middle of a big story arc with that. When we get done with like kind of the main through line of where Dragons Rising is going, or at least there's like a good cutoff point, then I might do like, it's like, well, how does this compare to like other big chapters in Ninjago, like the originals, like the original couple seasons, and then like the post rebooted stuff, and then like the March of the Oni era, the Oni era, like the Sons of Garmadon, and how does like, and then the 11-minute era. It's like, how it's like you've got these kind of very clear different at least four different eras in Ninjago. I may do a kind of how do these different eras all compare to one another video, but of course that's not something I can do now because we're still in the middle of one. So it's like I'm gonna have to wait. But that is an idea for a video I've had for a little while. So that is something that I want to get to eventually. It's just, again, finding the time and waiting for that point to come. So that's it for Ninjago. Just a lot. So yeah, there's the Skeleton Crew reviews. We're getting pretty close. Warzone, Modern Warfare 3 stuff. I'm the beta of clips for Black Ops 6. I do have regular Black Ops 6 clips, compiled. It's just one of those. I just need to, get some more and edit that into a video and stuff. But there's just so many games to play and all that. And so that's one of those things that'll happen eventually, but it'll be a while. Skeleton Crew, which I'm going through now. So we're kind of caught up with the exception of one big thing, and this is where I'm also going to segue into where things are going next year, is that on Christmas, some of you may have noticed that I kind of shadow dropped the latest episode of Transformers Knights of Cybertron, episode 11. Yay! It only took me a little over a year. Yay! It's like, but hey, that's better than the turnaround time between episodes 5 and 6, which was actually like 2.5 years. So improving. I said I would improve on the turnaround time, and I have indeed improved, and hopefully it's going to improve from there. So I was thinking about doing an actual just like standalone update for Knights of Cybertron that I do on occasion, but I was thinking, well, it's going to be a lot of the same. It's like my reasoning for why there's been these delays. It's just going to be a lot of the same, so I'll just cover it here. So big reason for the delay in between episodes 10 and 11, why it didn't come out as soon as I wanted, was a lot of it came down to voice actor schedules. That was the main thing. So early this year, and even late into 2023, I did a round of recasting because there were a couple characters that needed recasting. And then also I casted a couple new characters, as you've probably seen, at least, one or two of them in, episode 11. If you've watched it, I won't go into spoilers in case you haven't. And so one of those characters that I had to recast was Bumblebee. Unfortunately, because I was really pleased with the performance that I was getting from the first voice actor from episodes 1 through 10. But unfortunately, it had been so long and there were delays to the project that he had to bow out, which totally fine. It's like, hey, you gotta do what you need to do. So that's totally fine. So I'm like, okay, well, I need to recast this character. So I did a round of recasting, and I found a new voice actor. I'm like, okay, this is a little bit of a different shade of Bumblebee, but it's fitting the character that I wanted to go for with him. So I'm happy with the way that this voice replacement's going. So got all these new voice actors assigned to the project, and they're sending me lines and everything's going well, but he's the one, it's like I haven't received anything from him for a while, and I haven't heard anything from a while, and it's like, oh, well, hold on, It's like, what's going on here? So I contacted him like, hey, just checking up, how are things going? And it was a while and I hadn't heard anything. And so while I was waiting, I did a lot. That's when I worked on the Call of Duty videos over the summer. Because I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to take a pause on that. I then also, while I was waiting on that, I then wrote the rest of the series. So writing on the series is done. So that's like a big chunk of the whole project complete now. It's the fact that I actually have all the scripts complete. So, so that's a really big deal. So going forward, it's like that's not going to be a distraction anymore. It's like, like, oh, I gotta write, or I'm not going to risk catching up when it comes to filming. It's like, oh, now I need to take a break from filming to write the next episode. It's like, no, all the writing's done. So from here on out, I can just like, if I didn't have like a job and responsibilities and stuff, I could like just starting tomorrow, just start filming and not stop filming until the whole series was filmed. But of course, there's I've got life stuff going on. So unfortunately, I can't do that. I got to find the time to do all this other stuff. But at least the writing's done. So that's a big hurdle overcome. So finally, after a while, the voice actor for the new Bumblebee voice actor contacted me back, and he said, "Hey, sorry, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to fulfill this role like I thought. Apologies." And that was kind of that. So now without a Bumblebee again, I'm just kind of like, okay, well, at this point, it's been so long. I think it's like, I'm just like, well, I'll just do it myself. So, and it's like, and you can tell Bumblebee's voice is just my own. So it's not the preferred thing, but it's like things have been so delayed that I was just ready to get things going again. And, so yeah, so that's partly why episode 11 was so delayed. But once we had that taken care of, then I was off to the races on editing. I got all the backgrounds generated. I was, I got it all edited. Put all the voices together, and I think it turned out really well. I was also really surprised by how long it is because the script is not really too long a script. I think it's like close to 40 pages or something, which is about 15 pages less or so than the script for episode 10 was, but episode 11 is actually like a minute and a half longer almost than episode 10. So it's just kind of weird how that turns out, but then it's one of those things though. But episode 11 has a lot of dialogue in it. Like it's especially the first half is very exposition heavy in terms of setting up new characters and resetting the world. And because the one thing going forward with Knights of Cybertron is that kind of a lot of the tone and kind of the vibe that you get from those first 10 episodes, or not the first 10, more like the first, I don't know, 6 or 7, kind of that, because it has a very small feeling scale where it's heavily doing the robots in disguise thing. We can't expose ourselves to humans. We've only got this very small group of humans that we trust. It's just Sam, and then we include his dad, and we're on the run from the government. We can't be spotted, but the Decepticons do care about that, but they don't care about that, so they're just kind of doing what they want, and that's part of what makes them a threat. And, we got to find Meg. It's like some of that smaller scale vibe from those earlier episodes, that's going to be gone from the series going forward. Because now they're out there, they're exposed. It's no longer robots in disguise, it's robots in the skies, which it's like, the Starscream's going to be flying around in robot mode, not caring who sees them. It's like, Megatron's just blowing stuff up in cities. It's like, and you've seen a little bit of that in episode 11, if you've seen it. I guess that's a slight spoiler, but so that vibe going forward is going to be different. And I kind of forgot where I was going with that. Anyway, so, but yeah, I've really kind of stumbled over my train of thought. It's just screeched to a halt on what I was saying to even get there. Sorry, but I'm sorry about that. But because I was talking about the delay and stuff. Anyway, so moving forward, it's like, episode 11 is done. In terms of where we're going, in terms of the releases for them, it's like, because of the delay, I did just get episode 11 done, and like it was complete and done for like a day and a half, and then I released it like almost immediately, which is a really fast turnaround. Because usually I like to get like 5 episodes, several episodes done in a bunch, And then, oh, I remember I was talking about the length of and I was surprised about the length of the episode. Yeah, because it's like, oh, the script's short. It's like, well, there's a lot of exposition dialogue. That's where it came in. Okay, I knew that would get back on track. Anyway, so I did just kind of get the episode done, release it instead of stockpile like I usually like to do, just because of the big gap. And also it's like, well, this will be a nice Christmas present, and it's also a long episode because, like I said, I didn't think the episode was going to be that long. So hopefully that'll be a nice little thing to tide you over. I have most of the stuff for episode 12. It's like I think I need voice lines from like 1 or 2 more people, which shouldn't be difficult to get at this point. I'm gonna make sure and reach out after the new year, because and this comes down to a me problem, is that, yeah, some of the voice actors lag behind sometimes because of personal things, but then because I'm waiting on them, like I get too complacent in waiting on them, and then I don't reach out when it's like, oh yeah, it's like, no, I've been ready to go, I'm just waiting to hear from you. I'm like, well, great, so that's my fault for not reaching out. It's like I try not to, because it's like, this is all volunteer stuff. I'm not paying anyone, so I do try to be very accommodating to their schedules and everything. And I don't want to pester people. But it's like, I could maybe be a little more proactive in asking. It's like, hey, just checking in again. Like, but so yeah. It's going to be another. There will be another little bit of a wait for the next episode, but I have most. It's not like I'm starting from scratch. I have most of it, like all the visual effects and stuff are ready to go. I literally just need like 1 or 2 more characters done and their lines turned in, and then I'll be ready to start editing. Episode 13 is completely filmed. I'm going to need to do a lot of visual effects generating stuff for that, for like backgrounds and everything, as per the usual. And then I need to film 14 and 15, and then that'll be all of chapter 3, and then I'll be ready to move on to chapter 4. But with the way things have been going, I am pretty much at this point going to focus a lot of the majority of my attention on this series, because it's like, well, I'm waiting on stuff for Transformers anyway. I might as well do these Call of Duty videos. Like, well, I've done all the Call of Duty games now, with the exception of Black Ops 6, which I will do to finish everything off. But with the exception of that one extra project at this point, and then of course like the toy reviews and stuff, which take no time at all to do and produce. With the exception of those things, most of my energy will be going back into filming for Transformers. So I'm going to be getting through stuff at a faster clip now. So a year gap between episodes is now going to definitely shrink to, it's like, maybe it's going to be a couple months between episodes here so it's like maybe it'll be February or March before episode 12 comes out. But then after that, hopefully enough time will have passed and I will have gotten stuff, and it's like, well, now and then I can do a monthly release cadence, and then it's like, and then there'll be a little bit of a gap, and then chapter 4 will have a 5-month release cadence. So like the last 5 months of 2025, maybe I'll be able to start doing chapter 4. That's my plan. That was also kind of my plan for this year, and it didn't exactly pan out. So I do thank you for your patience, and I hope you are enjoying the show when it does come out. I know I every time I do one of these updates when it comes to Transformers Knights of Cybertron, I say the same things. It's like, I'm sorry it's taking so long. But I think it's safe to say I was maybe a little over ambitious on this show in particular, and what I wanted to do with it, how long it was going to take me, the amount of voice actors I would need to wrangle together to really give all these characters the attention that they kind of deserve, and what I think the story deserves. Because I could have had like the series done by now if I literally voiced every character myself. But I think that would get a little old if you could definitely, and maybe that's just a me thing. Like, I can easily, for the most part, detect similar voice actors, like when a voice actor is doing multiple characters in a scene, like, oh, that person's just talking to himself, and there's one other person in the booth with them right now. It's like these 4 characters are talking, 3 of them are voiced for the same person. I can pick up on that pretty easily, which is part of the reason why I wanted to have a lot of voice actors on board for this. But with a bunch of voice actors on board for this, like, I got to work around their schedules and stuff. So that's just kind of the how things pan out and why the series has taken so long. But if I really wanted to, I could just like say, hey, thanks for doing what you have done. And fire is not the right word, but it's like, say I don't need you guys anymore. I'm just doing all this myself. But I think the vocal quality would significantly go down and it would be noticeable, and I don't want that because I am really pleased with how the story overall has turned out, and a lot of the voice actors especially have informed a little bit of the writing for the characters in like the later episodes, and it's like, oh, this act, as long as like it's, and I'm pretty sure there's I've got several voice actors now that are ride or die on this series, based on conversations I've had with them in private on Discord and stuff. But it's like the voice actor I have for Megatron and Hound, he just nails the vibe and the what I'm wanting from those characters so well. Especially with Hound, it's like I write lines for Hound and then that I think sound good, and then he like takes the premise of that line and then he twists it a little bit and just makes it even more houndy, and it's like, oh no, that's the natural evolution of what that line is. So so he does these alternate takes as well as doing what's written, and I use a lot of those alternate takes. And I just love that so much because it really just helps the character feel more real, even though it's a plastic toy that I'm sometimes very poorly animating. And so I hope you guys, I hope that really, I think it helps enhance the characters a lot, and I hope you guys are noticing that when you're watching. And a lot of the voice actors are doing that for their characters. They're really putting a lot of personality in there. It's like, and I could tell that even from like the audition stages, because like when the guy that voices Starscream at Knockout, when he auditioned for Starscream, there were several people that had auditioned for Starscream. I had a small handful of auditions. It's Starscream. Who doesn't want to be Starscream? And I was listening. I'm like, okay, yeah, I could see that. Okay, maybe. And then I got to his audition for Starscream. I'm like, well, that's it. And I listened to like the last 2 or 3 that I had, but it's like that was kind of, it's like that is Starscream. That is, it's like it is. It was a familiar yet unique take on the character, to where it's like you listen to the voice and you can identify, yes, that is Starscream, but it's not a straight up imitation of any other prior performance. It's just nailing kind of the check marks of what should be in a Starscream voice without imitating, say, Tom Kenny or Steve Bloom or Charlie Adler or Chris Latta or Brian Drummond. I think is who voiced Starscream in the Unicron trilogy. So it's like it still feels like the character, but it's still also very clearly it's its own unique take, and so I really appreciate about the Starscream voice specifically, and a lot of the other voices that I've got. And I say a lot of the other, it's like pretty much all the other voices I've got attached to this project. It's where it's like, okay, yeah, this feels like the character, but it's also giving its own unique spin on it. And I think that's what you want to do when you're casting a project like this. So that's why I want to keep the voice actors around. I hope you guys appreciate that about keeping the voice actors around. Because again, I could have had this series probably done by now if I just did it all myself, but I think these voice actors are really the heart and soul of the show, and why I want to keep them around, because they just help elevate the material so much. It's like not to discount my own writing. I think the writing is pretty good, and I'm really excited to see you guys react to some of the things that are going to be happening in future episodes, and some of the twists and turns we've got. And it's like Shockwave's going to be pretty prevalent here pretty soon. I really like what my take on Shockwave and the kind of things that I think is, again, being true to the character, but making it a unique version of the character. So I like kind of some of the little nuances. So I'm excited for you guys all to see that stuff. I think I've done a really good job crafting this story, but it's like the voice actors just really help bring that to life in such an awesome way. So, so if there are any delays, and it is because of voice acting, I guarantee you it will be worth it, because pretty much every time I get lines back and I take a listen, I'm like, oh yeah, that they nailed this. Yeah, they nailed that and everything. So, and putting this episode together, there are like little moments where I was like, oh yes, it's finally coming together, and hearing the voice lines and everything. And it's just, yeah, it's just really great. So, So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with Knights of Cybertron. I think I covered everything I wanted to say about that. Obviously, that's going to continue into 2025 as I continue working. Um, and yeah, that's kind of the obviously toy reviews are going to continue. Obviously, Star Wars reviews are going to continue in terms of the TV shows. Um, because Andor comes out in 2020 in 2025, I think like April it starts. So obviously I'm going to be back doing that. I'm going to try to do week to week this time instead of just doing the episode batches like I did last time. But I think with the way at least it's sounding like season 2 is going to be, that may be easier to do this time. And then yeah, and I'll still do the odd different video here and there, like the Black Ops 6 campaign retrospective. And then and then also maybe a review on the new Indiana Jones game, because I've gotten that and I just want to test something else. It's one of those, like, well, sometimes you need to make like the Bad Batch stop motion I made earlier this year. That video exists because I really need to do a significant test of something, and I'm like, okay, test successful. That turned out pretty well. So I think I'm going to do something similar with the Indiana Jones video game. Like I said, I think if everything pans out well. So that may be another thing that I want to do. But like I said, primary focus is definitely going to be working on Transformers here going forward. So like by the end of the first week of January, I really am planning on breaking out all the toys and getting the green screen set up and going to town on filming. So yeah, that's kind of my YouTube rewind, overview, and stuff for how 2024 went and what I'm hoping to do in 2025. So yeah, it's been a roller coaster of a year, especially this last couple months, which was another reason why Knights of Cybertron was delayed, is that I was, and I haven't gotten any more filming done, even though I wanted to. I've just been exhausted from work, because I work overnights, and we've been understaffed, and so it's been a lot of extra work for everyone. So it's just, it's like anyone that works overnights know how tiring and draining that can be. So which is another reason why when I was waiting on lines instead of doing more filming, I just went ahead and wrote everything else, because it took less energy to sit down at a computer and write all those scripts out than it did to actually film to film the rest of it. But like I said, now the writing is done, I can focus on the filming. Things at work have improved a little bit, so I've got more energy when I get home in the mornings and everything, so I can get back to filming, really. So far, at least as of recording right now, things are kind of looking up a little bit. And hopefully that's going to mean, at least for the first half of 2025, we're looking to be in good shape. So yeah, so if you watched anything of mine this year, if you're watching this and you have actually made it this far, thank you for watching so much. I really do appreciate it. I am a small channel, all things considered. And I'm not even at the height that I was during, I really surged in popularity a lot during the pandemic, which, geez, small wonder. I wonder why that is. Because everyone was stuck inside. They had nothing better to do than watch YouTube all day. So I don't get near the views I was getting even 3 years ago. But I know that I still have gained some followers that have stuck around through that. So if you've been here 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years at this point, I really do appreciate your support, and I hope you enjoy the videos, even if some of them that you're looking forward to do take a while. But I hope that at this point, that even though things may sometimes take a while, I do follow through on my promises on, yes, these videos that I am planning will eventually come out, because it's like, okay, you had to wait a year between Knights of Cybertron episodes, but hey, there it is. It's finally there. And I hope the final products are worth it. It's like, if I'm not pleased with the video, then I don't really release it, and that doesn't really happen because I usually just keep working on the video until I'm pleased with it. So yeah, I love doing the YouTube stuff. I love making content for you guys. Even if the video only gets 17 views, I hope that the 17 of you out there that watched it enjoyed it. And then for those that get thousands of views, because it just hits the algorithm right, like the studio short stuff, like with Barricade is late, that I don't expect to do anything, and end up kind of blowing up, or like the Ninjago top 10s, and you found me through that way. Again, thank you for sticking around and watching, and I hope to see you guys back continuing to watch things in 2025, and I hope you enjoy. So yeah, thank you for another year, and I will see you guys next year. So remember to like me on like the video, subscribe, all that great stuff. Remember to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Those links are of course in the description below. Bleh. I need to stop talking, and thank you for watching in 2024, and I'll see you next year. So goodbye.